Yeah, well, it's me again, Luke from Bluewolfpsychic. This is just a little interest video for me to record. A couple of things I wanted to talk about. One is the difference between spirit messages and reading the tarot, or sometimes the crystal ball as well. And the other thing, somebody was asking me about what I actually see in that crystal ball. So I'll answer that question first. Actually, it's it's actually difficult to say sometimes. What I tend to see, I get little pictures sort of thing, which I won't. They don't sort of stand out in the crystal balls if you're looking at a TV screen or anything like that, sort of thing. They tend to be. It's very much like when you are working on a spirit link and that. For me personally, I tend to see sort of quite shadowy, grey sort of figures and that, but inside my head they are often quite full colour images and that. I mean, out there they're sort of grey and indistinct. In here they're in colour and clear. Usually, I mean, sometimes they're not so clear, and it can be quite difficult to say what you are seeing at that sort of time. It just depends on how they want to reveal themselves, actually. Sometimes, I mean, it's like on one of the readings today, I said, well, I saw a unicorn, and that was symbolic to me of certain things associated with that reading. I saw a rabbit as well, sort of thing. I still don't know what that was signifying, to be honest, but I gave it out. It's like they say, give what you get, sort of thing. And then if you can't work it out, someone else may well work it out, sort of thing. So on the whole, yeah, I see pictures. I don't necessarily see them in the crystal ball. Sometimes I see them in the crystal ball, but they're always inside my head here, sort of thing. Okay. And of course I do hear voices and that as well. I get spirit messages come out. I work on quite a strong spirit message link as well. But as I say, it's not like a television screen or anything like that. It's far more indistinct than that. But that's fundamentally the way it works. So I hope that helps a little bit. The other thing is, someone was asking me about how I can give a spirit message to a twelfth of the population, sort of thing. And obviously the thing is, I can't. I mean, I can't say that on one of the messages I gave a link to an aunt or an uncle, and I did explain that because it was for quite a large sector of the population, I couldn't be all that specific on the gender of the spirit that was trying to communicate with them. But of course, I'm not really reading for a twelfth of the population. I mean, I'm reading for a particular star sign, but it's like the principle of synchronicity is something which Dr. Carl Jung actually proposed and wrote about, and he was supported by some quite notable scientists of the time as well. And fundamentally what he was saying is that there aren't really such things as coincidences. What there are sort of fortuitous happenings which are linked by an element of meaning which we don't necessarily see on the surface, and so we tend to call it coincidences. It says that there's far more meaning in the world and for us than ever we realise, than often we realise. And the way in which that works with something like a crystal ball or tarot reading or those things in particular, is that the people who are meant to see that reading will tune in and will see that reading. So if I'm talking about an aunt or an uncle for a particular star sign, it doesn't apply to everybody with that star sign, but it is likely to apply to the people of that star sign who sign in to actually see that reading. Okay, that's the way in which that works. That's why I can sometimes give spirit readings with the tarot and with the crystal ball. I don't always. That was the other thing I wanted to talk about. The difference between spirit readings as you would get in a spiritualist church or from a medium working on a stage, sort of thing, and the difference between that and something like an individual tarot reading or crystal ball reading or something of that kind, or reading with the I Ching, or I use lots of different things. I'd love to use the I Ching on here one of the days. Actually, I'll do that for you. Perhaps next month. We'll see. But a spirit reading is really designed to give proof of the survival of bodily death. That's the way in which that really works. And what will happen is a spirit will come in to the medium and will try to give proof to you that they are someone that you have known in, in the course of your life. And people often, people really want it to be someone that's been really close to them. You want to be your mum or your dad if they've passed, or granddad or grandma or something like that. It isn't always that. Sometimes it's just Mrs. Bloggs who lived down the street when you were a child, and you barely knew her, but she knew you. And because she's now passed, and she wants to give some proof of spiritual survival, of bodily survival, of the survival of bodily death, of spiritual survival of death. She comes back and she wants to talk to you because you happen to be there, sort of thing. So sometimes it's difficult to identify the person. We try to give to get some proof from the spirit world. We try to find out things about that person and things that you can understand about them. And often they will also give some information about your current life and try to give some guidance on things to do with your life and with the people round about you and that. But fundamentally, it's not about telling you how to live your life. It's about trying to give you some encouragement and some belief in the fact that when we die, we don't sort of disappear. We go to another world and we live there as a spirit, sort of thing. The tarot and the crystal ball are slightly different in that what they're trying to do is to give you some guidance on your life. They don't necessarily tap into a spirit link. I mean, I often do tap into a spirit link as well, but that's when I start sort of talking to myself and so on and so forth, or giving you information from the spirit world. But fundamentally, they're about a slightly different thing. They are about trying to give you some guidance, because that's why people tend to go for them. About your life, about situations to do with your life. That's why I tend to read for things like your health and your career and education, your relationships, your love life, travel, all kinds of things like that, sort of thing. Why I can also hopefully give you some guidance on specific questions when people come to me as well. But they don't necessarily tap into the spirit world to do that. What they do tap into is a deep psychological level, which again, Jung, who was very informed on these sort of things and wrote widely about the occult and the spiritual world, was a great psychologist as well. He was a colleague of Sigmund Freud's when he was developing the theory of the unconscious and so on and so forth in psychoanalysis. And Jung developed his own system of it wasn't psychoanalysis, I've forgotten what it was called now, he had his own school as well. But these sort of readings tap into what Jung called the archetypal figures, which are sort of things which move in what he called the collective unconscious, and these are powers and forces which move at another level from our conscious mind. They work away in the deep levels of the unconscious, which operates not just for an individual, not just for me or you. It operates for all people, across all cultures and across all times. And it's at this level that we can actually tap into with the tarot particularly, and because the symbols on the tarot cards are often symbolic of the archetypal figures. And with the crystal ball as well, the sort of figures which we get coming up. I mean, the unicorn is quite a strong that's an archetypal figure for me as well, sort of thing. These sort of things tap into that sort of level of meaning and understanding, and they help very much for us to develop some guidance in the way in which our lives can go for the future. I mean, it's not sort of set in stone. I would say to people, nothing that you get is set in stone. It's guidance and suggestions and things, okay? But it comes from quite a good source for you, and it seeks to help you to develop your life for the future, okay? So I don't know whether that's given some explanations or whether it'll raise more questions than it's actually answered. But that's just some of my thoughts on what I see in the crystal ball and the differences between spirit readings and things like the tarot and the crystal ball. Okay, thanks for listening, and see you again. Bye.